Hello, hello. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Are you guys there? Cool. Sound is good. Next step would be to set up our camera. Let's see if we can get a picture. See, that's the wrong camera with too much light. Give me just 1 second to change this. Here we go. Here we go. Transform. There. It's not recognizing it. Why is this? Cancel. There we go. General camera. Much better. Now you should be able to see me. And if we move the camera just a bit, and I should be centered. Yeti. Hello, hello. I think we are back. Please let me know if you can hear me and if you can see something again. If you are having issues with the stream, please try and refresh your browser. Yes. Awesome. Yeah, we had some issues with one of our laptops, so we switched to a new one, or to a different one. It's not new, but I think this is much better, so hopefully it's working now. We'll just give it a few more minutes to give people a chance to get back to the stream before we continue for our activities today. And I just need to confirm, Jan, can you check the sound? Is it good? Can you hear me? Awesome. I have the camera up here and the screen down here. So yes, a few more minutes, 2-3 minutes, and then we will begin for today. The last stream of the year, so hopefully we can gather whatever we made throughout these 4 months. Let's see if I can get this set up. I just need to make one more thing before I'm ready. Adjust the screen here. Center it. Move my camera. There. And then I want to paint something. Let's see here. What? No, don't say. There we go. One more thing. Scratch is open. Great. So if you are in the chat and ready to begin, we will start out in Scratch, an empty project. As you can see, I have open right now. We only have our cat and nothing else in the game. We will make a small game today, but it's a full game. This one won't take 4 times to complete. So we're just gonna make a very simple, call it a snowball fight. Hopefully we can get something done today with the game. It's gonna be a multiplayer game where you can play 2 people, a 2-player game, and you play against each other. The idea is that you have to throw snowballs at each other, and then basically see if you can beat your opponent or your friend if you're playing against them. You're going to play on the same keyboard, so you're gonna use the same computer to play with your friends or family if you want to test out your game. But that's the idea for today, and then we will see how much time we have left at the end of the stream. And then, yeah, so I think we should begin. Hopefully you have opened up a project, an empty project like I have here. If you haven't, or if you have opened one of the earlier projects that you have made, you can simply start a new one by pressing the file here on the top left and then select new. This will give you an empty project that you can start on with us today. So yes, I do think we should start with the game. If you get a bit behind, you can simply scroll or go back in the video and see it again, or you can watch the video later for today's stream. But to begin with, let's make our 2 characters that we are gonna play in the game. So we need a player 1 and a player 2, and I'm gonna use the cat as my player, and I'm gonna make two different versions of him. I'm gonna have them being different colors. And I'm not going to use the standard yellow-orange color. And let me know in the chat if you're having any issues, if you have any questions you want me to explain in more detail. I'll gladly help you, or Jan will be there also to answer any questions in the chat. If there's something, an idea, awesome idea that you have for the game we're making today, also give us a say in the chat, and we'll see if we can implement it. But it's only gonna be for today that we're gonna work on this game, so I think we should begin and see what we end up with. So having Scratch here, we have our player 1, or our cat, to begin with. And you know, all our characters have names. This one is called Sprite 1. And I want to rename this to have the name player 1. This makes more sense. You can rename it in this text box here, right next to where it says Sprite. Simply click the box and then press backspace on the keyboard to remove it. So we're gonna call this player 1, like this. So now we have player 1, and if you press anywhere on the screen after changing the name, you can see now our this specific character have the new name. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate it, because we need 2 players and I want it to be the same model, the same cat, just in different colors. So I'm gonna use the same one by duplicating it, or in this case it's called copy. If you right click your character, you can, actually it's called duplicate, I was wrong. So right click it and then press duplicate. Now we have 2, and you can see in the game right now they are right on top of each other. So I'm simply just gonna separate them by using my mouse to move it. Now we have 2 cats, identical, nothing is different between them. I want the first cat to be some kind of red and the other one to be blue. So first I'm gonna color my player 1, and to change any costumes or colors for a specific character you have to go into costumes, which you can find at the top left. So going in here, we have our cat, and you can see on the left here you have 2 different costumes. If you want it to be animated, it can switch between these 2. For this case, we're not going to do that. We're simply just going to change the color for the first one. So since we are not using the second costume here, I'm going to delete it by pressing the cross. Let me know if it's going too fast as well, since I want to make as much as possible with this game for today, since we only have today to actually make it. But having the first costume here, to change the color, very simple for this. You can, with the mouse, make sure you have selected this arrow right here on the left, the first one. And if you hover over the cat, you can see all these blue lines, the blue squares or blue outline. If I select the leg here, the back leg, I can now color this specific leg. If I change the color here on the top left, and if I choose a random color, you can actually see it changes. So now it has one greenish lime looking leg. I'm gonna make this very simple for myself, since I just want to color everything. I don't want it to look pretty, I just want it to be red, so I know it's player 1. You can select all of the parts of the cat by, if you click and hold the mouse and then drag over it, so you have this square, and then release. You should have one big square around the whole cat. If I now try and change or pick a color, let's say red, you can see now it's red with like black lines as eyes and hair, and with an outline. So this is good for me. Now I need to make my player 2, which I mentioned that should be blue. So I simply just select my player 2 here on the bottom right, and now I have player 2 that I can color. Again, I'm gonna remove the second costume on the left, since I'm not gonna use it. And I'm gonna repeat the process here by selecting everything, and then choosing a color that is bluish. There we go. I need to do one more thing for my player 2 because I don't want them to look in the same direction. I think it's more fun that they look at each other when they're firing or throwing snowballs. A simple way of changing the direction or which way the cat or your character is looking is by selecting everything again, like this. Make sure you have a blue square outline of the whole character. This way we can choose to what we call flip it, so it looks in the other direction. This option is on the top right here. As you can see my mouse. There's this called flip horizontal with the two arrows looking into each other. If you click this, you should see him swapping and then looking the other way. This is what we want, and now we have two characters looking at each other. So this is more or less it for how I want them to look. I want to make them a bit smaller because I do think they are too big. And the way we change the size is by changing the number in here in the game. So I'm gonna go back to the code side and we do this on the top left. To change the size, you simply have to select which one you want to change and then change the size number just above. By default, it's the number 100. I want to change it down to 50, maybe 75. I'm gonna try with 50 first. Then you change the number and then press enter. And you can see it becomes way smaller. I do think 50 is a bit too small, so I'm gonna go with 75. You can make it whatever size that you want. Try a few different numbers. We can even try 150. This way makes it bigger. But you can try whatever number that you want. I'm gonna go with 75 for both characters. So simply just do the same for the blue one. Change it from 100 down to 75. There we go. So now they have the size that I want in the game to give them space to move around. Now I'm gonna put them in the position that they should be in. So I want the red one to be on the left side of the screen and the blue one to be on the right side. And that way they have distance between them, so they have a chance of dodging if they throw a snowball. So we can simply move them by using our mouse here to move them around. And I want the red one to be, I think, this close to the left edge. Do you think, is this left on the screen? No? I think. So something like this would be how far I want them to be apart. So now we basically have set up the scene for our characters. Now we are gonna begin coding. And the first thing that we need in our game is for the players to be able to move. And the movement that I want these characters to have is moving up and down. I don't want them to be able to move left and right because they should always have the same distance between them. So only up and down for these characters. First we're gonna code the red one, and then we're gonna copy that code onto the blue one because it's the same code that they're gonna use. So if we go on to the red, or the player one, in this case, by selecting it, make sure you're inside the code screen on the top left here. To make a movement, it's very simple. We just need a few blocks. First we're gonna need a few of the blue ones. The blue ones is what makes the character move. The orange one is what makes us control from the keyboard which key we are pressing, either the arrow keys or the W. But we're gonna look for the blue one first. And here we are gonna need the one called change Y by a number. And in this case it says 10. We want this specific, actually I'm gonna zoom in so you can see it. Make sure you find this specific block where it says change Y by 10. And we're gonna need 2 of these. So make sure you have 2. They don't have to be attached, just make sure you have these for later. I'm gonna zoom out a bit. Great. Yes, so the next thing that we need is in the yellow blocks, in events. and we need the green flag because if we don't have the green flag block, our code will not activate when we start the game. The game is started when we press the green flag here on the top. So make sure you have the green flag first. The next thing that we need is our control. This is where we can control what key is pressed with a combination of the sensing blocks. So find 2 if blocks. Make sure you have 2 of these. These can be attached underneath each other. Make sure you don't put the second if inside. And make sure it's underneath like this. And we need one more block around this, and that's the forever block, so we can keep moving in the game. So get the forever and have it be around both of the if blocks like this. We can actually attach this to the green flag. I hope this is not going too fast. Do let me know so I can slow down if you need to catch up. But yes, so we need one more thing for this to work. If you go into sensing the light blue, we need one here in the middle where it says key, then it says space pressed. So we need 2 of these, and you can attach these into the if blocks right here. So you need 2 of those, right, like this. We're gonna change it from space to the key that we want. So if you press space, you can actually select any key on your keyboard, arrow keys or any letter that you want. I want for player 1 to move by pressing the S and W. So W, you go upwards, and pressing the S key would make you go downwards. So let's see if this works. I'm gonna look for W first. That's at the almost bottom here. And the second one, I'm gonna select the letter S, like this. And now I can attach my 2 blue blocks inside each of these. Now we have some movement code. We need to add one little thing to the second one. Instead of it saying 10, we need it actually to be a what we call negative number. I want to put a dash before the number, so it says -10. So it should look something like this. So it's very important that you have the minus in front of the number, unless you'll go in the same direction if you move. I do think it's time to test the game, so to see if the code is actually working. Hopefully it is. If it's not, we're gonna fix it, of course. So to test the game, press the green flag, and let's see what happens. I'm pressing W, I go upwards. I press S, I go downwards. So now we can actually move up and down. Pretty cool. I'm gonna stop the game again. Basically, we need to add the same to our player 2, so he can move up and down. The only thing that we're gonna change in this block of code is what keys on the keyboard is being pressed. The way that you copy your code is simply by dragging it. If you take it here, drag it. Make sure you don't drag it to the left here, then you're gonna remove it. This is very important. You simply just drag it over player 2 like this, so you see him shake a bit. And then you just release. That should copy the code. So if I go into player 2 now, I can actually see the code now in here. So make sure when you drag it over the player 2 that it does this shaky animation, and then you release your mouse over it. If you don't copy the code, you can simply rebuild it with the same blocks in here by finding all the necessary blocks again. One way or the other, it should be very, very simple to make the code again. But since we have the code here in the player 2, I'm gonna zoom in again so you can read it. Right now, if I start the game, just to show you, if I move player 1 by using W and S, you can see both characters actually move. I don't want that. I want them to move separately with different keys, so you can actually play against each other. So I'm gonna stop the game. As I mentioned before, we simply just changed the keys that are being used. And we do that by selecting here the W and S and choosing whatever key we want. You can even have it so they have to use A and O on the keyboard, but that would be silly, but also fun. Make it more difficult for your friends. I'm gonna choose for player 2 to use the arrow keys. Use the up arrow and the down arrow. So the first one is gonna be up arrow. The second one is gonna be down arrow. I'm quickly gonna test the game just to see if I can, if it works. W and S moves up player 1. Try player 2 with the arrow keys. That also seems to be working. Awesome. Now we have keys that we can actually play with. So now we can move. Now we just need to add snowballs that we can throw. So we need to draw the object that we are throwing. So I'm gonna try and draw a snowball. And to draw it yourself, you simply go to the bottom right and hover over this and select the pencil, or the one called paint. You can choose whatever you want. You can also choose a already made sprite like bananas or apple or a house. I'm gonna draw my own snowball. I think that's pretty simple. So make sure that, or I'm gonna use the circle here on the left. This one, I think this is nice. And I want it to be white in the center, but have a black outline, black edge. So to choose the color white, I simply take the middle one here and move it all the way to the left. And then for the outline here, I'm gonna choose the color black. At the bottom here, go all the way to the left. What we should see now, if I press and hold, you can see I can create this circle thing. I'm gonna make it quite small. I do think this is a good size. One thing that is important now is that you have to move the picture to the center. And to know where the center is, there's this small mark in the middle. I'm gonna zoom in so you can see it by using the plus sign here on the bottom right. You can see if I move a bit over here, there's this symbol here, cross with a circle. That's the center. Move your image so it is in the middle, or so it's covering that. If you've done that, you're basically done with the painting. So we can move back to the code now, since now we have the object that we can throw. We just need to add the code for it so we can actually shoot it back and forth. And maybe we can actually let's see, what can we try? Maybe we can even have it bounce around. But let's see what we can make. So I have drawn my snowball, and now I want to give it a name. As you can see, it already got a name, but it's called Sprite 1, and I think this is it doesn't make sense. So I'm gonna call it Snowball, like this. Go. So what we need to, we're gonna work on player 1 first. Since we can just copy the code again on player 2, because it's the same that they're using. Going into the code, zooming out a bit so you can see. So I'm gonna stop the game since I apparently have it started. So I'm gonna stop it by pressing the red circle here. And here we're gonna add a again a green flag here underneath. I'm gonna scroll down a bit. And for this one we also actually no, I think it's better that we use another block than the green flag. So remove this again. We're gonna go down one here and see, we're gonna use this one called when space key pressed. This one, and add it underneath. And I'm gonna change the key to, I think for player 1 it's gonna be Let's see, what makes sense? D. I do think D would be a nice key. Finding D here. There we go. So when we press D, we are going to create a snowball, and then it's going to shoot in that direction. And to create a clone of the original snowball, there is a block. If we scroll down here in control, the orange ones at the bottom, we can create a clone with this one, add it here. And we don't want to create a clone of player 1, which is myself. We want to create a clone of snowball. The next thing that we're gonna add is when the snowball starts as a clone, it's gonna go in a direction. So let's see. So we have to add that code onto the snowball. So if you go find your object that you have on the code here, find the one called when I start as a clone. And basically what we need to add here is a forever and then a movement. So first the forever block, and then you need to go into movement to have it like go in a direction. I do think that for this one we're gonna use the change x by 10 and not the y but the x. Make sure you have the same block I have right here. And if we try and start the game now and I press D, you can actually see I'm shooting snowballs, but it's not coming out from player 1. So it's not working perfectly. What we want is before the snowball goes anywhere, it has to start from player 1. A simple, easy way to make this is to add the go-to block, which is the blue one. And it's, let me see if I can find it. Let's see, there we go. Go to random position. This is the one that we need. If you add this above the forever and change it to random position and then say player 1. And if I test the game now and I press D, you can see it starts from player 1. Even though I go up and down, I can shoot so many, so it's not fair. I'm stopping the game now. So now we can actually shoot it out, but we don't want the original snowball to be floating around here. So we're actually gonna hide it. So make sure you select the snowball and then press the I with the line over it to hide it. If we start the game now, no snowballs will be showing. So when it starts as a clone again, we need to show it instead of hiding it. So in looks, in the purple ones, we have the one called show. Make sure you add this as the first thing. No, actually, we're gonna move this around a bit. So have the show to come after it goes to player 1. So the code should look something like this. Starting the game again. We love testing. Testing is important. So keep testing your games to see if it works. You can see this works just fine. As you might have noticed, whenever I shoot snowballs out, they disappear, or they keep staying on the right edge. We want them to disappear when they hit one of the edges. So a simple way to make this would be to add an if inside this forever. So find the if block in control, and it's right here. In here we're gonna check if we are hitting one of the edges to see if the snowball is hitting one of the edges. And to find or to figure that out, we have to go into sensing blocks, the light blue. On the top here we have a block called touching. If you add this to the if, change it from mouse pointer to, it has the option edge. So now it's asking, are you hitting the edge? If it is, we're gonna do something. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna delete the clone. And the delete clone block is in control at the very bottom. Here we go. So testing the game again, see if we have the snowballs disappear. And they are. Perfect. So to make this simple, we can copy the code again to our player 2. However, we're also gonna duplicate our snowball, so they have each their own snowball. So first I'm gonna duplicate my snowball and call it snowball 2. I think that works fine. So we have snowball for player 1 and snowball 2 for player 2. Yes. And the second snowball should not go to player 1, it should go to player 2, of course, because it should go in the other direction. So simply change it from player 1 to player 2. And also it should go in the other direction. And to have it go in the other direction, you have to change the number 10 to a negative number. So that's below 1 or below 0. So we can simply do that by adding a minus in front, like this. And so whenever a snowball 2 is spawned or is appearing, it's gonna go in that direction. Now we just need to add the key to actually creating a clone of it. And we have to go on to player 2. I'm gonna stop the game. In this case, I'm gonna copy my code from player 1 again, but you can also recreate it by just dragging in the same blocks. That's up to you. So going into player 1, I simply just want to copy this by dragging it over, make sure it shakes, and then release. And it's right here on top. There we go. Two things I need to change for this: which key is being pressed, and the snowball that I'm spawning. I want it to be snowball 2, and I want it to be, let's see, I think left arrow is good enough for me. There we go. Let's see if I can test the game. And we can go up and down. The left shoots out there. And D shoots out here. Awesome. Let's add a background for some nice features instead of just having a white background. Simply go to the bottom right and we can actually choose a backdrop. I do think Scratch has some nice background. And I'm just gonna choose a random one. Actually, not so random. I think I'm gonna go with the Arctic here on the top left, because we are in a snowball fight. So why not have snow around us? So this makes it look a bit more nice instead of having a white background. I think we can add one last thing, since now we have the player to be able to shoot or throw snowballs. Now we just need to have it remove or win the game by removing the other player if you hit him. A simple way of making this would be to go on to first player 1, since we're gonna use the same code for player 2, so we don't only have to make it once basically. We're gonna check if player 1 is being hit, if he is touching a snowball, and then we're gonna pause the game. Or stop the game basically. I think we need a green flag, so go in events. We need a forever, because we need the code to keep happening, and we need an if. So find the forever and if, and actually in here we also have the stop all at the bottom. This one, we need that inside the if. So if we are hitting a snowball, we're gonna stop the game. And let's see, you have to find if it's touching the edge in sensing. And here on the top, this is the block that we need. Instead of mouse pointer, we're gonna change it into, let's see here, so player 1 has to be touching snowball 2, because that's from the enemy. And opposite for player 2, if he is touched by player 1 snowball, he's gonna lose the game. I'm gonna copy the code for this onto player 2 and go in and change the variables, or I don't know why it throws it on top. So I'm gonna move it down here on the bottom and zoom out a bit so you can see my code. So player 2, if he touches the one called just snowball without the number, then we're gonna stop all. Testing the game to see if it works. And C, D, and the game pauses. We have no way of knowing who wins. We can add a background that says player 1 wins and a background for saying player 2 wins, just to make it a bit more nice to know who won the game. I do think first I'm gonna add a cooldown on the snowball so you just can't spam it. A simple way of making this is saying wait. We have a wait block in control. If you go on to control, the orange one on the top, there's one called wait. So I'm gonna add this to where I create clone of snowball, and I'm just gonna add it underneath for both players, since it shouldn't be easier for player 2. So simply just add the wait. Testing the game now. I shouldn't be able to just spam, so I actually have to be careful. If I start the game, shoot it, and I won. I'm gonna quickly draw 2 backgrounds with player 1 wins and player 2 wins, just to add that to the game so we actually have a full game with a winning screen and a with who wins. So to add your own backgrounds, go to the bottom right and then press paint, and it actually gives you a new site here. I think I'm gonna, if I'm able to draw everything here, can I just, no? I'm gonna use the rectangle here to give it a somewhat background. There we go. And add some text to it. That's the T. And you should be able to just click anywhere and say player 1. Oh, so the text is the same color as the background, so I'm gonna change it here on the top left to be orange red. Player 1 wins. So this is the last thing that we're gonna make. It's not very pretty, but it's there. You can make the background that you want. And I'm gonna change the name of this background to say player here on the top. Now it says backdrop 2. I'm gonna change it to player 1. Player 1 wins. And a simple way of, again, we can duplicate whatever we made, so we don't have to make it twice. Right click it and then press duplicate. The only thing I'm gonna change here is the player 1 to player 2, and of course the name to player 2 wins. There we go. So now we have the 2 backgrounds that we can change to for whoever wins. So going back to the code, we just need to add 2-3 more things and we are done. So if you go on to player 1 first, you can see here where we stop all, the block right here. Before we stop all, we're gonna change into a specific background, and to do this you go onto the purple blocks, and in here we can change the background, and we want the one called switch backdrop to, this is the one. Add it just before we stop all, and select player 1, player 2 wins. So if player 1 is hit, player 2 wins, and the other way around. So going into player 2, we simply just add the same block and then say if player 1 or player 2 is hit, player 1 wins. We need one more thing for whenever we start the game. We of course need it to be the Arctic background instead of this player 1 or 2. So we can add this at the very beginning here before we do any of the movement. And you simply just have to find the switch backdrop again and add it just above here. I'm gonna move it up a bit so it looks something like this. And make sure you select whatever you call the background. Mine was called Arctic. So now whenever I start the game, it goes back to the default Arctic background, but whenever someone wins, it changes into the winning screen, and then it pauses the game. Then you can start over. If you want the players to be able to shoot faster, simply change the weight block here in the midsection to a lower number. And to make it lower than 1, you can delete the number 1 and then press the dot on your keyboard, and then any number between 1 and 9. So 9 being the closest to 1. Let's see, I'm gonna choose .5. So this will make it able to shoot faster if you want, but let's try the game. As you can see, when I start the game, it goes back to the correct background, and then we can actually play. And I won. Player 1 wins. So that's basically the game that we managed to make today. I do think that it turned out okay. This is a 2-player game, of course, so you're able to play it with a friend, a family member, and you can make your character better than theirs without them knowing. That's also quite fun. So, shh. But that's basically it for today's stream. We didn't do much for today, but hopefully you enjoyed what we are making here. And hopefully next year when we start again, we will be able to meet up in the classrooms. We have had so much joy trying something new. We are all new to this, also live streaming. Hopefully you were able to make what we did here from the streams. I am pretty happy with the 2 games that was made over the last 8 times. And we would like you, if you have any feedback, we would gladly welcome it. And if you have any ideas, if something comes up again, we might continue live streaming, but we do want to meet up in classrooms again so we can get your feel on the games. Make sure to save your game. I know I've said this a lot. Saving your game is so important. If your computer crashes, if it runs out of power, you don't lose it. So go up to File here on the top left. This is very important. And press the save to your computer. Give your game an awesome name. And if you like any of the games that you have made, if you want them to be on our Coding Pirates Scratch site, which you can find in the description below, we can upload it for you if you send it to our Facebook, or I think our contact Carsten will gladly take it and then upload it to our website, so you can share your game with other people. All the games that we have made here on the live stream is available also on the Scratch site that you can try, and it's split up to the different parts that we have made, so you can continue and try all of the games. But yes, that's more or less it for this year. We will first start again next year. The date hasn't been set yet, but we will keep you posted. So thank you so much for joining us, and I think Jan, you also have to say. So me and Jan, who has been doing the streams, we want to thank you for joining us, and basically say thank you for this year. So take care, guys.
See you guys.
See if I can end the stream here.